to my attraction. One step in the wrong direction. One choice is all you have to make. One ride in the world is ours to take. You're treading a thin red line when you're trying to read my mind. In here, the world is black or white. No rules apply, no wrongs or rights. Can you really tell me what is right or wrong when they're two sides of the same coin, viewed in different ways? The human paradox, step right into pandemonium. Welcome to my delirium, my human.
What is up, you guys, and welcome to our first VPL Valhalla Pokemon League battle versus Nasser, or the Houston Rotoms, and versus actually Carl's team, if you want to go about that, since we have 4 teams we're facing Team 1 right now, and it's going to be massive whether or not which of the teams that are making it, because it means you can easily time getting into playoff with your whole team, that is a people of 4. Now, that said, Nasser's team is as follows: Tornadus T, Keldeo, Thunder's Eye, Mega TYRANITAR, Klefki, Mesprit, Diggersby, Trogalgi, and Evilvog. Now here's the thing with Nasser. He drafted a rather expensive team by paper, which meant that he wasn't able to draft 10 Pokemon as I did. So in theory his team is stronger, but, and this really should be enforced here, while it is stronger, it is also with less options. Since I have, well, more Pokemon to choose from, and I think I have enough to deal with him, is what I'm trying to say. Now, thrown at it, there are a few options here that does push out my own Pokemon. So, the likes of Buzzwole were never considered for this matchup at all. I don't believe it would have worked in this environment. So he was going back directly. Same with Rapidash. Rapidash would have a rough time here. There was no way that Pokemon was going to make it. But that's a whole, we have a lot of Pokemon here that did feel decent enough, and we're bringing the Decidueye, especially defensive one at that. Actually, most people are specialists, or Pokemon are special defensive here, because overarching theme on his team is Pokemon that hits me heavy on the special defensive side. Trogalgi, Tornadus, Thunderous, all of them, and I do believe that's going to be my issue. The physical attackers are not as primitive here or as threatening. So Stoutland Decidueye here does deal very well with the possible Diggersby. Even with knockoff mine, we're gonna have Colbur Bear here, and you can also deal with Mesprit to some extent, and can lock in Klefki really nicely. We have Spirit Shackle, we have Leaf Lay, we have U-Turn, and Roost. So very, very common Decidueye basically, but like I said, especially defensive invested. Now, after that we have Tentacruel. Tentacruel made the most sense of this battle, mainly because it does Shakybo, Klefki, and Keldeo. Both of these Pokemon does a lot of work with my team, so having Tentacruel here is really nice. Toxic Spike was considered, but after a long thought here, we realized that, you know, 2 Pokemon that are flying, that could be, and Mesprit that is levitating. There aren't really that many Pokemon that does take Toxic Spike well, and Trogalgi kinda takes away those rocks or Toxic Spikes. We decided, no, let's skip that. So we're going with Dual Stab in Skull and Sludge Bomb, and then Filler Move in Rapid Spin. Because we did that, joining and recording this at work. I'm really sorry if I'm joining and I can't take it out of it. Where Rapid Spin here is my main Rapid Spinner, since the Decidueye is feeling a more defensive role here. And the filler move and the last move here is Ice Beam, because Ice Beam hits super effectively against the Trogalgi, who could wall Tentacruel completely. A Lopunny here with Encore, actually. And main perk of Lopunny here is to Encore Klefki into Spikes or Thunder Waves. If it decides to go with that, Klefki is definitely going to be a threat for me, and also can just lock in overall. Any type of setup Pokemon will be locked in. Keldeo primarily, since of course with Calm Mind in mind. Haha, I could definitely stop that from happening. So Lopunny here with Dual Stab, Fake Out, and we don't have High Jump Kick, by the way. Mainly because High Jump Kick don't hit anything in this team super effectively that Mega Drain Punch isn't already one-shotting. So with that in mind, I believe it's risky bringing High Jump Kick when you know your opponent can very well run Protect to be able to check a Lopunny. So with that in mind, Return does just about the same damage, if not even KOing either, because the things that resist High Jump Kick are just taking a lot of health or heat from the Return. So I felt that made most sense. I can't stop. Next Pokemon here, Jolteon. Jolteon with Leftovers and Jawn. Here's the thing. Diggersby and Dragoldi just wall Jolteon to some extent, and I really want to Thunderbolt spamming here. We have Hidden Power Ice as a possible filler move, but Yawn here is one of those things that just, it could solve a few issues, and definitely just switch in here, force him to switch out yet again. Another thing is that if I'm faced Tyrannitar instead of my face, going for John would be devastating. So, yeah, basic set here. It's enough speed to creep Tornado's T, that's about it. Should be very important for this matchup, depending on what he brings. While he does have immunity in Thunderbolt, I don't believe he deals well with the Thunderbolt combination with Hidden Power Ice. Next one is a Lowland Ninetales and a Scarf variant, basically here to check his possible Scarfer, being of course Keldeo Thunderous primarily, but also Diggersby can also be a Scarfer here. We have Blizzard, we have Moonblast, we have Freeze Strike for Keldeo, because why not? If I had to lock myself to something, Freeze Strike could be very well, since no switching just do that very well. And the filler is a Roll Wheel. And Scarfed Aurora Wheel could be very scary if I get into the wrong situation, but overall I do believe it will come clutch in a different environment, or rather if I'm forced to, it's going to be of course really well. It also is speed enough to outspeed of course Keldeo, but also a +2 Tyranitar. If I'm getting that situation, at least I will be able to dent it and hurt it. So I felt really good about this Ninetales. It was either the Ninetales or the Rhydon, basically, because Rhydon was really good also against this team, mainly because, of course, of the Violite and Stealth Rock provided with Raw. And it was an option. It definitely was an option, but eventually I decided to take Metagross, because Metagross does deal a really good well with all this team. They primarily actually deal with Dragolgi, which stabs, it can't necessarily hurt me. And we have Meteor Mash and Bullet Punch to get with an Headbutt, because Meteor Mash does just about right on everything. I don't need a filler move in Earthquake or Ice Punch mainly, because Klefki just takes just about the same damage from a Meteor Mash as it does from a possible Earthquake. A bit less, definitely, but then again, I will get the risk of actually getting an attack raise, and that would be tremendous in every way. So with that said, the last move here is Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is going to be important for this team if he decides not to bring Avalugg, because he has, I believe, 2 Pokemon, Thunder's T and Thunder's Eye, which I believe definitely are making it that are weak to Stealth Rocks. Now, the team I'm seeing him bringing are definitely Thunderous and Tornadoes. Mega Tyrannitar, Klefki are definitely bringing it, and then it's either if it brings Dragolgi and Diggersby, or if it brings Diggersby and Mesprit, depending on what he want to bring. So definitely Mesprit could make it, just to get rocks in mind, even though I'm not necessarily weak to rocks with this team outside all the Ninetales. But Diggersby is what I'm fearing the most. I need to find a way to solve that. I'm still joining because I'm freaking tired. So as we see here, we don't see any Diggersby, which is good. It's really good actually. That means that Jolteon can pivot with Volt Switch in mind. One thing I have to watch out for is Dragolgi with, of course, Toxic Spikes. That could be very annoying. Even though I'm not necessarily weak to it, it still is an option here. And of course, Spikes from the Klefki seems really obvious. Stealth Rush from Mesprit seems really obvious. And Thunderous and Tornadoes are good Pokemon against my team in general, and I didn't feel comfortable dealing with them. And Mega Tyrannitar with Dragon Dance are also very scary. So at least we don't see Avalugg. We don't see a spinner here, which means that anything I set up will stay. And somewhere down the line, that is what I gotta focus on. I need to get my rocks up early. I need to get in a situation with Dragolgi versus Metagross. That's the only way this will work. So yeah, in general, I'm just gonna lead off with Jolteon here, hoping he leads off with something I can hit hard. So yeah, with that said, let's of course go into the match. So yeah, from the get-go here, he's gonna start with Tornadoes, and that's a good thing. That means that we can Volt Switch directly. I kinda wanted to go for a John here, but realized that, you know, it could be risky. We don't know if it's gonna stay in, if it's Scar, go for knockout, whatever. As I switch in Dragolgi, so that's good. That means that we can not necessarily hurt it, but it means that we can actually get our Metagross in. As I said before, we need rocks in early, and this is giving us definitely the situation to just so. And the Stealth Rocks are going to be here to be staying, as I should say this, Dragolgi is very scary to be dealing with, and I don't know how to tackle it necessarily. Mesprit comes in there. Now, it could pack Knockoff or it could pack Shadow Ball, but as a whole, Mesprit is not a threat outside of actually setting up rocks against my team. And I know it could be very likely that it does stab, but at least going to bring a Pokemon that does hit hard against him, being of course a concise to this Decidueye, as he goes with a very safe Stealth Rock. Now, he's definitely going to switch out, he's not going to stay into Spirit Shackle, but Spirit Shackle does do a lot of damage towards his team. U-turn felt kind of redundant here, as he's going to actually bring in Tornadoes. Now Tornadoes will not only take a lot of damage for Stealth Rocks, but also of course with the Spirit Shackle, while uninvested, will do a shit ton of damage because it's a strong hit against Tornadoes that is necessarily not that bulky. And yeah, it actually does around 33%, that's awesome. Now, he's definitely going to go for Hurricane here, and Van Height, my Jolteon, can definitely take that with leftovers of mine since it's still healthy, minus of course the Stealth Rock. Now, he does miss this Hurricane, and it is unfortunate, mainly because it would have pushed me to the 50% area. But as a whole here, it's quite alright, as I'm going to go for John here, knowing that Dragalge is his switch in. And here comes Dragalge, it's no surprise there. And we whittle this Pokemon down. We haven't seen like any type of recoveries. It could be C-move, he could also be Specs, he could be whatever really. As basically what I'm trying to say, with no Black Sludge it means that it's not that defensive, but the Volt Switch didn't do too much damage. So at the same time it could be a Spec set. Either way, I'm not going to stay in and take a Draco, so I'm just going to switch in my Cyberax, my Metagross again, and try to soak a hit. And he's going to surprise me here by going for a Scald. And I mean, the burn is a factor. He doesn't get it, which is really good. Actually, I was thinking he would switch out since I was John, and he just in. This is a very, very good thing for us, because that means Dragalge is forced to go for actually a Sleep Turn. Now, I do go for a Meteor Mash here, but I will miss it, which I think is fair since I missed the Hurricane. But it would have been nice hurting Klefki. I don't like Klefki. Klefki is one of those Pokemons that it's just hard to kill. As I'm gonna switch in my Tentacruel here. I was basically juggling between Tentacruel and Jolteon, but decided to actually go for Calypso because I thought that was the best Pokemon to bring. And he goes for Thunder Wave, and that's no good. We definitely didn't need that. As while I know he can't hurt me, at the same time I can't necessarily hurt him either. And it takes the opportunity here to actually switch out and go to his Dragalge, and trying to get those, of course, sleep turns going, but it does get him with himself whittled down, as the Skull is going to of course connect. It's not going to do anything, but I know he has a one sleep turn in him, and the good guy here tells me that it's better to go for Rapid Spin this turn. We know he's going to go for a Draco as soon as he wakes up, and with that in mind, I knew after getting a Rapid Spin away, which was luckily I had to switch out here anyway, even if I was fully paralyzed. But now I can definitely switch out to my Alolan Ninetales, knowing that I have no Stealth Rocks against me and that I'm immune to his Draco Stab, which is really good as we get this Snow Warning going. So we have now that also, which is a big factor here, and he's actually fast asleep for another turn, which is really good for us. That means that we can lock ourselves into Blizzard. I definitely should say this, it's kind of dangerous of unlocking myself to Blizzard now that we know that Mega Tyranitar is a Pokemon here I could be facing. Luckily for me though, he decided to actually not bring that, go directly to Klefki, who definitely defensively does take these hits really well. Now, since I'm scarred, I do not want to risk the chance of getting myself paralyzed. Hell, I'll think that's kind of scary to be as that. So I actually decided for me that I switch into my Tentacruel again. Now, Tentacruel, due to of course being able to Rapid Spin and of course already paralyzed, it does provide everything I need, as he goes for Spikes here. Now, Spikes is not too dangerous. Stealth Rocks are by far worse, though residual damage is always unpleasant in every way. But I am at least in kind of a decent spot here to, you know, try to utilize myself as well as I can. But also, of course, able to possibly hurt this Klefki. I mean, somewhere down the line, I do want to start spamming Scalds or Blizzes with my Tentacruel or Ninetales, but as long as Klefki is active, I won't be able to do just so. As he brings Mesprit here, Mesprit is kind of a threat. Now, luckily for me though, I do break through yet again my paralyzation, which is a good thing of course, as Skull is not only going to connect, but also going to provide a burn. And this burn is good, because that means if it's a knockoff physical set, I should be able to deal with this Mesprit without necessarily any problem at all. But also, of course, it's a special set, and you know that kind of backfire doesn't necessarily mean anything. Burns only mean that it takes a lot longer to, of course, provide these turns through and through. Now with that in mind, as you guys see, you know, last slide we got leftovers, we got bird, we got hail, you know, everything is connecting. So I will switch out to my Decidueye. As of this moment, we haven't seen knockoff in Logite, but so I felt like Kunzite can definitely deal with this, as he is actually going to show me Psyshock. So you already know, alright, it's specially oriented. Now, Psyshock does a lot of damage actually, but it's alright. It's basically 33%, and we already know this is more of a specially offensive Mesprit. Now I can roost here. Even if I have Shadow Ball, it shouldn't do more than roughly 35%, so I can definitely stall that situation out without necessarily needing to worry. But the unfortunate part is that he just gets a special defense drop. That means that we can't stay for one another of those things. It's not possible. I simply have to get out of here. I can't stay in versus this. And yeah, I don't like that. I actually liked to be able to shake Mesprit defensively, even with super effective damage towards me. I felt that was a really nice environment to be at. Now that said, he is forced to go for another Shadow Ball. He had to. So I'm gonna bring Tifa, my Mega Lopunny, and I'm gonna utilize, since he's such a good HP, I know that he could take this opportunity to actually go for Stealth Rock. So with that in mind, I decide to Mega Evolve and actually go directly for Encore, not going for the Fake Out. I don't believe that helps me with anything, as we can of course Mega Evolve the power of the bunny. And as I, we go for that massive, awesome, cool Encore, and show me that Shadow Ball again, buddy. I don't believe in ghosts, as of course it's not going to affect me. And now it has to switch out. And my best series of play here is just go for Drain Punch. Since I can lock in Mesprit for Shadow Ball for a long time, basically as long as I need to, I can just go for it. And he's forced to switch out clearly. He goes to Klefki. Now Klefki here, we already know this Pokemon is defensive, so we don't only take neutral damage. Hydro Kick would have been a better option, but I said it before, felt it was risky, and Drain Punch does, I do believe, around 30%. It's not a bad damage output, it's not. I think it's a very fair one at that, but, as stated before, the paralyzation is a factor, and I felt, he's definitely going to have a Thunder Wave here, so I'm going to switch in my Jolteon, my Van Height, as he's going to pull a double on me, thinking that Tentacruel is coming in. But like I said there, I was predicting the Thunder Wave, I wanted a Volt Absorb, I wanted my health back. So he brings Thunderous, and this is both good and bad, depending on the set. But Thunderbolt should definitely push the area where I do believe actually Bullet Punch does take him out. And with leftovers of mine, I don't fear the situation. While I do believe Dark Horse will do a lot of damage towards me, I go for the Thunderbolt. He's not Scarfed, at least we can tell that, and he goes right down. Now he's going to retaliate with Hidden Power. It looks to be possibly Hidden Power Ice, and it's a good, decent filler move. But at this point, yeah, I'm really glad this wasn't, a super, or the all-out pummeling with Focus Blast. And we do get the Volt Switch here because I don't want to stay in, I don't want to bait in the Tyranitar. So what I'm going to do is actually switch out to my Lopunny, basically ensuring here that whatever comes in can't deal, or can't be Tyranitar, basically. Like, Meloetta, I was going to say, Mesprit and Klefki is only switching towards that. It's actually been Tornadus. That's far worse. That's not what I wanted. As I have a given opportunity here to go for Fake Out, but here's the thing, since I brought it in, I really believe that this Pokemon most certainly is a Scarf, and I'm not gonna try to even try to test that. So I'm gonna bring in my Metagross, because if it's Scarf, that means the Hurricane's a 2-hit kill in my Jolteon. I'm not gonna risk that. Metagross can definitely take that damage, and hopefully it doesn't see that I have Bullet Punch, as Hurricane's gonna connect, and it does fair amount of damage. And we're gonna go for the Bullet Punch, and Gross has getting a kill, and that's awesome. You really want to see that. Metagross definitely needed that, and Mesprit comes in here. Now versus Mesprit, I don't fear it necessarily. I really should say that, but Stealth Rock seems very, very obvious. So with that in mind, I'm gonna bring Isolde, and I really just want to go for Aurora Veil here, just getting that motion going. Because if I can pull that off, then probably Kansite can actually wrap up this game, because it doesn't deal, or it does survive the crunch from the Tyranitar. But it goes for Shadow Ball, and what is unfortunate here is that he gets the special defense drop, which is really something I did not want to see. I do decide to go for Aurora Veil anyway, and I kind of regretted that choice. I should definitely lock myself with the Moonblast. I was thinking if he's gonna switch out to something, he's gonna switch out to his Klefki, but Nasser really pulls all his stops and go directly to Tyranitar. And the reason this is bad is because I am Scarfed, first of all, clearly, but not only that, I go for the Aurora Veil, which clearly during Sand is, well, not well working. And I'm in a spot here where I basically need to sack something. I was aiming for the 6-0, now I basically need to get a foothold. Now, here's the thing. He needs to be at +2 to win this matchup. That's the only way he's going to be outspeed Mega Lopunny. So with that in mind, I do switch out to the Metagross, hoping that he would go for Dragon Dance here and then try to go for another one as I try to go for Meteor Mash, because that was my only option. As luckily for me, he does go directly for his Stone Edge. And the reason it's a good thing is because this means that this game is over. This means basically the Lopunny comes in and that's a wrap basically. And I sent in Tifa, which is such a nice nickname. Everybody would Final Fantasy 7. Yeah, that's about it. As he's gonna show me Protect, and this is something I was fearing as I was building. You know, this is going to happen eventually. And luckily for me though, I decided to actually bring Drain Punch over High Jump Kick, and this is definitely working in my favor. And I stated before this video, Drain Punch is going to be enough to one-shot Mega Tyrannitar, not because Mega Tyrannitar isn't that bulky, it is because Mega Lopunny is just that strong. We're able to break through here. Now his last Pokemon is of course a Mesprit and the Klefki, but none of them really can do anything. But the game will come to a screeching halt here, and it's mainly because well, versus Klefki, I really want just to preserve my differential, which means that I'm actually going to switch in my my Tentacruel. Tentacruel does not necessarily hurt Klefki too much, and I realized that, you know, that was probably a dumb decision, but I'm just gonna speed the last part of this up a bit. So we win this game 5-0, and I do believe we win this game fairly comfortable. It should be said here that Nasser has beaten me too many times to be counted in the league, so I'm glad I finally was able to do the same to him. It's taken quite some time to pull that off. Now with that in mind, I almost choked the game away with, you know, the situation with Ninetales versus Tyrannitar. Had I'm not going to stress this enough, had I actually tried to avoid that situation by going to Decidueye would have been able to wrap the game from there because I had a Cold Berry intact. And I think it was unfortunate that I played the way I did because I almost lost due to it. But yeah, as a whole, we do win here 5-0. It could have been a 6-0 if I'm not choked so hard in the end there with the little Ninetales. I do believe that's my only misplay there, using Ninetales in that environment. Had I switched in my Decidueye, I would have been in a stronger point because of the Cold Berry. I think I would have played the game smarter. I was really unhappy with myself. You know, I pushed myself to that environment because that was dumb. That was damn dumb as all hell. But yeah, even if he got into +2 with his Mega Tyrannitar, a lot of Ninetales would have been able to outspeed it still, and Moonblast actually does around 60% without the sand. So I think I had the game under control, even though I had to sack play a Pokemon that I do believe could have wrapped the game for me. Meteor Mash and Bullet Punch actually combination just KO also. So I was not threatened by the Mega Tyrannitar in that environment, but I do believe I was forced to sack Metagross in a way I wasn't comfortable with. So with that said, guys, as always, thank you for watching, and Nasser, thank you of course for this match. First time I win against you in the league, which is incredible. I really needed that. But yeah, guys, thank you, as I said, for watching, and I'll see you in the next game. We're gonna go against the Basika. That could be a very, very strange and strong game. Definitely looking forward to facing him. So yeah, thank you for watching. Can speak. Thank you guys clearly for watching, and I'll see you next video. Till then, of course, guys, take care. Bye.